Hello and welcome to the Cedar Log, the Unami Lodge 1 History Committee's podcast. This week we have an interview with Mark Reeves. Mark Reeves was a member of Delmont Lodge 43 in his youth. He was on the merger committee between Delmont Lodge and Unami Lodge during the council merger. He was a member of Camp Firestone's camp staff at Rusco Falls Scout Reservation. He was also on the Cub World staff at Camp Hart, and he was a district executive for the Cradle of Liberty Council. So this spans a lot of Mark's scouting career. If you'd like to be interviewed yourself and share your scouting story and your scouting career, just contact us at history@unamilodge.org. That's an email address. And you can also contact us via Facebook or Instagram. And that is that. So before we get into the interview, we're going to hear from Anton, our camp promo guy, about one of our camps. Alrighty, Anton, take it away.
So, Anton, tell me about camp.
We're running a new camp at Musser Scout Reservation, which is known as our STEM Adventure Day Camp. Now, this camp is for youth who can be 1st through 5th grade, so that's our Cub Scout age, but also for youth who are 6th through 8th grade, so in the Scout Space age range. But it doesn't necessarily have to be someone who is involved in scouting. We recommend for any Cubs or Scouts who want to go as well, but if they have friends or members of the community who are not involved, they can attend as well. This camp is, like I said, at Musser Scout Reservation at our Camp Garrison facilities, and it is all focused around STEM. So rockets, weather, robots, all sorts of things STEM-based. The starting price is $370 per week, but there is a rate if you're signed up with Scouts, either would be a Cub Scout pack of $325. For our older youth, it's a little pricier at $385, but the Scout rate would be $340. We're running 6 weeks of program, our first week starting June 24th, and then our last week ends on August 2nd. It's a really great opportunity for Scouts to get to camp. It's not a resident camp, but if it's something easier for parents to have their Scouts attend, I highly recommend it. And with those prices, there is also the option of transportation included, which would be busing. So that's a little bit about our STEM Adventure Day camp.
So what made you switch from Firestone to Cub World?
Well, first of all, Firestone closed. So
okay, that will do it.
that makes the decision a whole lot easier, certainly. But I was brought onto the professional staff as a district executive in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And I was basically voluntold that I would be on that staff. So our field service at the time, Cheryl Caton, before her gender transition, she was adamant that the key to strong membership in the scouting program was a strong Cub Scout program.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1996, prior to this time, we had a wonderful operation going on by Karen Huffman at Delmont. Very great customer service oriented, fun program. The only downside is it was very sparsely attended. So it almost had the same kind of problems that Firestone had. Great program, great customer service, but not enough people are knowing about it, and you can't fit as many people in there as you would like to, in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
So we loved what she was doing there. And on the Hart side, they were trying something different. They were trying to bring in professional actors to kind of create a storyline and get things going energy-wise that way. But they brought in people who had never had any kind of scouting experience. And it seemed like there happened to be kind of a rift between the scouting side and the entertainment side. So we knew something different had to happen for the 2007 season. So it started off with a Cub World Family Day in 2006. So Cheryl had written a letter to every single Cub Scout in the council from Sir Tim E. Rover, excuse me, so Time Rover, basically saying, hey, this evil scientist, Dr. Lizardo, has stolen this time machine that we created together, and he's bent on destroying the universe, and the only people who can help are the Cub Scouts. So Cub Scouts, come on up to Camp Musser on this date, and we're gonna take them down. Basically, was kind of the storyline. And so there was also a letter to the parents saying, "Hey, thank you so much for being part of the scouting program. We'd love you to come on up for this great family day. Even if you've never been to our camps before, come on up." And we invited all our program partners. So we had the Philadelphia Phillies ball girls up there to play t-ball with the Cub Scouts. We had the Franklin Institute come up. We had the Philadelphia Zoo come up. We had, you name it, any of these organizations that invite scout groups to visit them, the Adventure Aquarium and others, they came to camp and they brought their cool stuff to showcase. But we also created the storyline. I ended up playing Dr. Lizardo because nobody else on the professional staff wanted to do it. So I had the theater background, and one day I just was looking in the mirror and I took some hair gel and I kind of spiked up my hair, and all of a sudden this character came to me, and this kind of crazy Dr. Lizardo voice kind of came to me. And I came in to Cheryl the next day and said, "Cheryl, I'm Dr. Lizardo." And I did the voice, and she was like, "Yep, you certainly are." So we had this great day, and we had probably about 2,000, scouts and their families come on up to camp. And that was just amazing. And we realized, what if we take this to the next level? And this type of interactive storyline play kind of goes on throughout the school year, but also culminates in Scout Camp in 2007. So Cheryl basically told Nick LaValle, told Cindy Shear, or Osowski now, you three already have camp experience. You three are going to be the Cub World leadership. And that was that. And we basically had to decide amongst ourselves who's going to do which role. So Nick ended up becoming the camp director. I became the program director. Cindy became the head commissioner of that camp. And then we went about hiring the amazing staff that we had.
Wow. Did not realize it was that in depth. Yeah. That's cool, though. I need to email Cheryl now and thank her for doing that, because
absolutely. None of that would have happened. None of that would have been possible without Cheryl Caden, and really without Bill Dwyer, the Scout executive, giving us the permission to just revamp what a Cub Scout camp is all about.
Yeah, I am going to try and get Cheryl's number now, and I will give her a call and thank her, because that made my childhood. That's awesome. I love that. So
before we get too much into it, but yeah, tell me what, because, we brought your dad, Ryan Wallace, up to camp, and he helped us out. He ran our archery range sometimes for us on those weekends when we had large attendance, but you coming up to camp too, what was your experience like dealing with the Cub World staff and dealing with the crazy characters and storyline that was created for the camp?
Oh, goodness. My memories are very sparse, which is odd. I have some core memories, which is good. I have a lot of core memories, actually. But what I do remember is I don't remember 06, the big scout day. 2,000 scouts. I don't remember that. Which is quite possible. I mean, because I don't know when exactly I joined, because I was born in 99, so 6 or 7. So I would have joined in 05, 06. Yeah. And I would have been a Tiger. And there's not many memories from being a Tiger.
Of course, yeah.
But the Cub World stuff, I mean, I remember there was a district swim meet or swim carnival or something at one of the YMCA's. I remember Dr. Lizardo was a part of it, and there was the bobbleheads.
Yes, and absolutely. We created those one year. That was just nowadays you can have them 3D printed and they're dirt cheap. Back then we had to send in a whole bunch of photographs of my head in different angles and with the hair spiked up and different images of me as the character for us to kind of create that bobblehead. It was before I found even the right hair gel, which would really make my hair spike like really up high. So it was more of almost like a comb over kind of look about the hair on the bottom.
Yes.
So it was a little different than what people saw in person, but we ordered a whole bunch of those, and we almost created more for some of the other characters that we had created, Eagle Eye Jones and Captain Shortplank and some of the others. We just weren't getting the revenue for the sales of the bobbleheads to warrant making another one in the future, because it was a bit more pricey too, because they were sculpting them, hand sculpting the original, where they would then make the mold out of, instead of, like I said, 3D printing, which you can do today.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I remember, like Dr. Lizardo and his shenanigans, throughout the year. Like I remember that.
Yeah, we made appearances everywhere, it seemed like.
Yes.
Philadelphia Phillies preseason game. I got to be on the field. I got strangled by the Philly Fanatic. I got to be up on the big Jumbotron before the game. And it was a preseason game between the Boston Red Sox and the Philadelphia Phillies. Mm-hmm. So this was 2007, which means it was the year that the Boston Red Sox won the World Series. The next year is the year the Philadelphia Phillies won the World Series. So really, Dr. Lizardo is the good luck charm for both of those squads, is what I would say.
I gotcha. Yeah, but I remember that. And then I definitely remember camping as a tiger, or, maybe I was a wolf. But I remember summer camp was a very important thing in my family and my dad, because he was a district executive for the council when I was a toddler, and he's an Eagle Scout. And when it was like you, when it was time to join Scouts, it was just what you did. But my dad never forced me. I'll say that. I'll give him credit. He never forced me. He just said, "Hey, there's this thing called Cub Scouts. I think you'd really like it." And he found the troop the pack and the troop that I grew up in, 367.
Right. Okay.
And I credit them with saving my life, quite literally. Because they helped me through my ups and my downs, and a lot of them I consider, like Mr. Van Dyke is like an uncle. Quite literally, he's probably related to my grandmother on my dad's side. And then Mr. Shell, Grandpa Shell, everyone calls him, runs our first year program. So, and Mr. Repa, my scoutmaster, and all of them. But regardless, I remember how camp was just very fun. Core memories include discovering what cream cheese was in the dining hall, and I absolutely loved it. I put it on bread at first. I didn't realize it was for bagels.
Yeah. You can have it on anything. Yeah. Yeah,
but cream cheese, I was like, this is a magical substance. I remember the baby rattlers at the Nature Lodge, which that was a great gag.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, which, you think it's going to be the snakes, but then it turns out to be literal baby rattlers, like the little toy for kids.
Right,
yeah,
exactly right. Yeah.
I remember Handy Andy. We built this when I was a Weeblo. I remember camp being very free flow, and that was so fun, because you could spend hours doing whatever you wanted.
Correct. That was something that we wanted to have as part of camp. So often in camps, because it's difficult to run a program. It's difficult to have everything kind of figured out. So most of the time when you go to, say, a day camp, from 9 to 10, you're going to be at the archer range. From 10 to 11, you'll be at the scout craft area. From 11 to 12, because you have all these different dens that all have to do all the different activities. And everybody gets that same kind of program. With Cub World, we decided to do a full open program. So we had programming going on from 6 in the morning till 10 at night. And you could, if you wanted to spend all day at the rifle range, you could spend all day at the rifle range.
Yes.
Right. It'd be up to the parents to decide how long they wanted to be, maybe at the Nature Lodge, or how long they wanted to be at handcraft, things of that nature.
Yeah, I remember we spent a lot of time throughout my years as a Cub Scout in the handicraft shack building. like we made, I think my one buddy, he made, I forget, like the little iron bead things. I don't know what they're called.
The fuse beads, right?
Yeah, he made Dr. Lizardo, and then we were just making little Dr. Lizardo pins, and then that was cool.
Go. Nice.
Andy, when we both are bears, or I don't know, we were using tape.
Andy Hoffman, by the way. Yeah, is his name. Solid guy.
Yeah, Andy Hoffman. Yeah, I've been able to reconnect with him recently, and that's been awesome. Yeah. We made these geese, these wooden geese, and you could put string in it, and it would flap its wings.
Right on. Like a mobile, yeah.
Yeah, and I had that in my room for the longest time, and I still have it somewhere. It's just
that's remarkable that you would still have a craft from when you were a Cub Scout.
Yes, like I had it hanging in my room, like free hanging, and I could flap its wings whenever I wanted for years. And then, I kept it safe because I was like, oh, I made this with Andy, and like, Dad, this is so cool. So I remember that. I remember it must have been Ann, because I remember this, big African-American guy at Scoutcraft. It might have been somebody else, but I swear it was Ann. Who was just
Antonio McCall, yeah.
Yes, Antonio McCall, who was just so kind and so like a big brother, and for someone as someone as the oldest child, not having that role model was like, oh. And also I credit Aunt Antonio and the Cub World staff, and just a lot of the people I went to school with, is I grew up colorblind. Like I didn't realize people were people, I didn't know what racism was. I didn't know, what made people different until probably like fourth grade. And I naturally looked up to Antonio, not just because he was taller than me, but just because he was like compared to me, I was a small kid, and then he's this giant, and I'm just like, oh, okay. But he was so kind and so brotherly, and I was just like, oh wow, this is so cool. And then I remember the trading post being in the different spots it was at. Like I remember when it was I guess in like one of the middle bays.
Yes, underneath the dining hall, right?
Yes, because nowadays it's in like the very corner under the cannon. That's where we put the trading post.
Sure.
And I remember it was really small, but you had the display cases, and you had all the options to make crazy slushy flavors with the slush puppy machine. That was like magic.
Yeah, I even, going in there in 2007, had them change the slush puppies to be the 100% natural fruit juice. I don't even know if it makes it any healthier than the regular syrup that they have, but it sounded more natural. It sounded more appeasing for any adults who are concerned about the sugar content of what their kid was drinking. Yeah.
Exactly. And I remember sitting on the wall with my dad and my friends just eating a slushie, and that was just like, oh, okay, this is cool. This place is nice. It's a warm day. I'm outside. I just remember being so happy, not just because of the slushie, but just because I was with my dad. I think, like, looking back at it, I think something made me realize, like, oh, this is the good times. Like, these are the good times. I just felt very present in the moment. And then I remember the mud pit across from the staff site.
Okay.
And I remember the portable showers,
yes,
which were nice. I think I did the mud pit, but I remember the older scouts did it. And I remember there was like a costume ball, because like a costume party with all the staff and like the kids at dinner one night. And then I remember my birthday was always at camp, so I remember you giving me the birthday hat and calling me in front of the entire parade field. I remember that.
Yeah, we got this. It was like a birthday cake.
Yes, birthday cake hat.
Oriental Trading Company. Every camp program director's best friend for ordering supplies. But we just found that silly little hat. I think we had a red clown nose we usually would put on the
Yes.
child. And then we'd have the whole camp sing happy birthday to them. Yeah.
I remember that. And that photo that my eventual scoutmaster, Mr. Scott Repo took, was actually my phone lock screen for the longest time.
Is that right?
Yeah, because I was just like, because there was something about that day that I looked like I was already looking up to the staff because you're on the wall and like you're higher up than everyone else in the parade field, and and I'm the small kid, so like I was always a small kid, so I literally looking up to people, and I just remember thinking like I like this place a lot, and I like these people a lot, and I want to be where they're at someday.
Right.
And that also saved my life because camp staff gave me the escape for the rougher patches of my life, which I won't go into details. We'll go into details later. It's just you and me. But it helped a lot because it gave me that escapism in the summer. It gave me a constant, like scouting was always a constant in my life.
Right.
And I just remember like saying, "Oh yeah, once I'm old enough, like this is what I want to do." Something about this place, something about Camp Hart was like special. I don't know what it was, but like the atmosphere was fun. It was engaging. I remember doing archery with Nancy Ward, the archery goddess, for like an entire afternoon, and we only stopped, doing archery because another group came, and my dad was like, "We should really let the other group have as much fun as we did and have as many chances as we had," because we had done like 20 some rounds, because like nobody else had showed up. Yeah, no one else has showed up, so we just kept doing archery. I remember the one year we were in Yellow Bear, and it just rained and rained and rained. But that was fine. We still were having fun. We were playing chess, and we were going to the different stations, and we were having fun as a pack. But also the staff made it fun too. I remember Christmas in July.
Yeah.
With all of y'all with your Christmas hats and just on like I guess a gator or something, singing Christmas carols as you were checking the camp out. Yeah, a lot of just like I remember my overnighter as a Weeblo with my best friend Dustin, my best childhood friend Dustin, when we hiked over to Delmont as a like Cub World, we hiked over to Delmont.
Correct. Yeah.
I remember Weevil's Planet on the east side of Hart.
That was something that we were I was helping develop in 2008, but that started in 2009 after I was no longer there. But I got to visit before it opened and saw all the work that they were doing on that side, which was just absolutely phenomenal. And Brian Bauer, who's the Scoutcraft Weeblos Planet director, just did a bang-up job on it. And the whole crew that was helping him out too.
Yeah, and that was so fun. Like it was just cool to have a different part of camp, and it was a little more rustic. So it was like, oh, okay, we're like the older kids. We get to go and do this. Like, this is cool. I remember the campfire and also something like on one of the islands in the middle of the Unami Creek.
Okay.
This might have been after you were gone.
I would say so. Yeah, I think so.
But I remember Wheels Planet, like they showed us the Jewish chapel, and they showed us the giant rock where the Ark of the Covenant used to. Well, what it represented.
Correct.
Mount Sinai, and then they'd have the box for the Torah. There was no box there when I was a kid. It was just this giant rock and this beautiful, beautiful chapel. And I was like, "Whoa, this is."
Both chapels at Hart are absolutely stunning.
Oh, agreed.
Beautiful structures, absolutely beautiful.
Oh, agreed. I just remember when I saw the Jewish chapel, like they were taking us around, like just the east side, and I was like, "Oh, this is so cool!" Like, just to have this rock and like surrounded with a structure and like the brick, the benches, and then the stonework that's made the Star of David. Was just like, oh wow, this is like a beautiful place. I don't think I realized it was a Jewish chapel until much later.
Yeah.
But I was just like, oh, okay, God or whatever is here. Like whatever exists is here. And I was like, this makes sense. So I think a lot of Cub World was it was a lot of fun. Definitely kept me engaged, and cause I was in Continental Districts, so we would do Cub camp, day camp at Garrison, or at, when I was real little, Delmont. And then you'd go to Hart for Cub Adventures, and it was just so much fun. Like, looked forward to it every year. We were in Red Fox my first year. We were in Yellow Bear for a few years. We were in Hawk Campsite. Just a lot of fun. It was definitely childhood memories and core memories being made just left and right. Like, I remember a lot of the activities and like certain people, but like some people I don't remember. Like, I don't remember really Mr. Rep and my Scoutmaster being in my pack. And I don't remember my roommate and buddy Colin. Like, we grew up in the same troop, but he's like, oh, I was in the pack too. And I was like, I don't remember you in the pack at all. So it's just weird what you remember and what you don't remember. But I remember the Harry Potter theme.
Yes, we did a magic week in 2007, and it happened to be the week that I forget which of the 7 books came out. Maybe 5 came out, and we had a deal with Barnes and Noble. Actually, even for our trading post, they provided us books, and anything we didn't sell, we gave back at the end of the summer, and they just took them. And they basically just took whatever amount of money they needed to. So we always had books in the trading post based on the themes that we were offering. But you could pre-order the Harry Potter book, and we had it there at camp on the day that it was supposed to be coming out. And I remember reading the first chapter of whichever book it was. I think it was 5. I could be incorrect. For everybody there, it was the first time me even reading any of it, so I was super excited, as much as anyone else, of seeing what's going on with the book.
Excellent. Yeah, I just remember a lot of good things about Cub World. And I think this dialogue between us answered all the questions I had.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, certainly. I mean, the staff.
Yes, tell me about the staff. I really want to hear what it was from your perspective, or what your bond and camaraderie was with the staff, because y'all just seemed like you had so much fun together. Because like I remember when they gave us the tour at the beginning each year, the staff just seemed so well connected. From my view, that was my perception.
Yeah, so I can only obviously speak to the Cub World years that I was there, 2007, 2008. And we realized we didn't need professional actors. We didn't even need people with scouting experience in every single role. We wanted to find the best person for each role that we had on camp. So we had Boy Scouts, we had Venturers, we had Girl Scouts, we had non-Scouts on the staff. We needed people who could do the job. And really the job, as I told them, is to safely make a fool of yourself for the good of scouting. That's kind of your main goal. And once we hired everyone, Nick, Cindy, and I were just so proud of. When we just looked at the staff that we had, we were so proud of the crew that we had assembled. And during that first week, so prior to any campers coming up, you have your staff week, and you're setting up camp and you're training that staff. And I realized if I want my staff to be outgoing as possible, energetic, super fun-loving, all those things, I, as the program director, had to model that. So any single second that any of my staff saw me during staff week, they had to see me at my best to show them, here's the ball. And what was fascinating is that everyone was like, yep, we're going to go ahead and jump that bar. We've got that. Like, no problem. Like, I've never worked anywhere in my life since. And I've worked in, theme parks. I've worked at Disney World. I've worked at SeaWorld, both US and UAE. And I've never had a staff who is that willing to just do everything they needed to do to make sure that each and every camper had the best camping experience of their lives. I kind of stole some pages out of the Disney guest service playbook to really get our staff on board with those ideas. I taught them the 7 service guidelines of Disney, which is you smile and make eye contact. You greet and welcome each and every guest. You seek out guest contact. You don't just hide in the corner. You see somebody and you welcome them. You provide immediate service recovery. So when we screw up, we make it right away. We're displaying appropriate body language at all times. We're preserving the magical guest experience. So like I said, I was Mark, the program director, and then sometimes Mark, the program director, was not at camp. Dr. Lizardo was at camp, but nobody on the staff would ever say, oh yeah, that's Mark. Or, hey, Mark, I got a question, when I was presenting as Dr. Lizardo, and vice versa. If I was presenting as Mark, nobody was coming up and going, oh, Dr. Lizardo, here's a question, which, the campers loved, because the campers all knew that Dr. Lizardo and Mark were the same person, but it was complete denial by anybody on staff. And lastly, just thanking each and every guest, thanking them for visiting our program area, thanking them for visiting our camp, because if it weren't for them and their parents paying lots of money for them to come to camp, we don't have that job. We don't have that magical place that we love, that we get to go to every summer. Camp is not something we have to get through. Camp is something we get to do.
Exactly.
Mindset. So yeah, it was just creating that staff and getting them all on board with the mission, which was, letting them know, hey, if this doesn't succeed, we're not sure what membership is going to do, in Cub Scout. We need to take this leap of faith, and everyone was willing to take that leap of faith together.
Wow, that's incredible. And the Disney training, you'll be happy, continued when I was on staff too.
Really?
Yes, they taught us.
It's great to hear.
They took some Disney elements and were like, you always smile, body language, like you're picking up a piece of trash, you kind of do it like in a swooping motion, so like you just like keep walking. And
I never went that far, but that's heartwarming to know that for whoever it was on staff who decided, you know what, we need to make this part of staff training going forward. Yeah.
Yeah, so you'll be happy that we continued that. So what's your favorite spot at Heart?
My favorite spot is wherever the program's happening.
Awesome. That's a really good answer.
It really is. We are lucky that, you've got Garrison up there. You've got a pirate ship. Right. So when the program calls for a pirate ship, we know exactly where we can go, and everyone can definitely get on board. Everybody can get into character of, we're now pirates. We've got a great castle, and we can have a medieval theme, or we can go to the fort and have a Western theme or a spy theme, or whatever the theme is that you want to have. You've got these great places, but it didn't matter if you didn't need a pirate ship, you could still create a pirate theme in the dining hall. You could still create a pirate theme at Scoutcraft, at the pool, wherever it is. That was always my favorite place, wherever the main program was going at the day. And the dining hall itself is one of my favorite places. Now, I know that I annoyed many staff members who worked at Heart prior to 2007, because I pulled down all the staff plaques, letting in all that natural light into the dining hall. Before that, it was just staff plaques that were just blocking up everything, and all you had were the fluorescent lights inside the dining hall. But instead, just opening up those windows and letting the natural light pour on in, and then when you're sitting there eating, you can just look out and you see nature. It was just something simple to be done, but something that had to be done. Now, I will say, too, we put them into a safe space. I don't know what happened to them after they were put into that safe space, because I knew as somebody who had worked 8 years at Firestone prior to that, I knew what a staff plaque meant to me, to have my name somewhere, right? Somewhere that people could see. But also other events that we did a T-ball game, which was campers versus staff, 1 inning game. So the campers got, I think, 35 outs. We staff got 3 outs, and it was T-ball. And so the campers were up first, and they all got to, do what they're going to do. I always played first base purposely, because I could always make an error when I needed to. So if I saw a scout and they, hit the ball and they got out, and you saw them upset at the side, they're a little upset because they got out, and then it's like, hey, just get in line again. You get another at bat, I bet you, because you get 35 outs. So chances are you're going to get up to the plate again. And sure enough, I would look at who we got out, and I would make sure that if they were up to the bat again, they definitely got at least a single, if not because of an error, a double or triple out of that play. So we were able to give them that kind of leg up, or that kind of excitement. That, you don't win every time. You don't get a hit every single time. Professional baseball players. If they're good, a third of the time at bat will they get on base, right? If they're really good. So that was really cool, and we encouraged cheating from the Cub Scouts when we were up to bat. So it was not uncommon for us to hit the ball. We would launch it way out into the trees, and they would try and find it. And it would not be uncommon to have 3 Cub Scouts grabbing onto your legs, stopping you from getting to second base. So that was a lot of fun. Scouts won every game, but we definitely made it close a few times as a camp staff. Other things I did too was the basketball courts that were there. I purposely lowered some of the nets. I kept 2 of them at regulation size. So anybody who's really good, 4th and 5th grade, they could get, dunk, not dunk. They could get a few baskets certainly. But I lowered some to a little bit lower. So if you get a first, second grader, they're trying to launch that ball up and they're not hitting the hoop, right? Get the other one lower. And I also had one so low that anybody could slam dunk a ball. So it took a little effort, a lot of WD-40 and a lot of elbow grease to go ahead and lower those, because they had been up there for who knows how many years prior to that. You had spoken about Mr. Mud obstacle course, just a pit full of mud with a bunch of obstacle courses running through it. And then something else I was so proud of too, we had 2 solid guys, best friends in their own scout troop, Brian Bauer and Jeff Bell, that we had them create a Frisbee golf course.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a 9-hole Frisbee golf course that would run through the woods of camp. And they made that on their own, in between when they got off of college and when they had to report to camp. They designed it and created it and brought it up to camp. It was just a really cool thing. All those things that we just kind of created out of nowhere, or we modified something that was already there, were some of my favorite places in camp. Yeah.
Gotcha. Very good. So last but not least, you served as a district executive for the Credit Liberty Council. So we kind of talked about it because you were kind of voluntold, like, hey, you're going to work camp staff, which is pretty common with DEs. We got 2 DEs now where they have been called upon to help with some Adventure Day camp, which is like our relaunch of the program after COVID.
Okay.
Up at Garrison.
Good.
So they help out with that as Davina and Mike.
Excellent. Now tell me about Resica Falls.
So Resica Falls is our Scouts BSA camp in the Poconos. It is 4,200 acres. Really beautiful property. I worked there for 3 summers of my life, and I do really love it. That is for our typical Scout summer camp, earning merit badges. We have afternoon adventures now, so it's not all day classes of merit badges, but there is adventures in the afternoon that scouts can go on, such as canoeing on the Delaware River, or going to Fossil Rock and jumping into the natural swimming hole. So it's a really great opportunity for those scout troops to attend. If you can't attend with your troop, there's options to go with our provisional troop 1, so you can go up and be put with other scouts whose troops aren't attending Resica. There's also a couple high adventure opportunities at Resica for older scouts, such as Fall and Run and Paddlerama on the Delaware River.
Excellent. Thank you, Anton.